Here we go, another Medical Mondays.
So should I start recording now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going.
Good evening and a delightful welcome to Medical Mondays with Dr. O, your interactive forum for disseminating medical facts and health information to help you choose a healthy lifestyle. Our apologies for keeping you waiting. We appreciate your patience. Medical Mondays is not establishing doctor-patient relationship, rather sharing relevant medical information from highly qualified medical professionals for a better life. Like our mantra, strong health, strong future. This evening, Medical Mondays with Dr. O discusses the truth about water, a friend or a foe, with a registered dietitian and doctor of pharmacy. Your questions and comments are highly appreciated. Kindly drop them in the chat box and we will read them out. Dr. Toyin Okwesami is a fellow of the American Academy of HIV Medicine, a family practitioner, CEO and medical director of Gennesaret Medical Center. Welcome, Dr. O.
Thank you so very much, Honorable Gustav. And welcome everybody to Medical Mondays. Again, pardon us for the delay. We thank God that technical difficulties have been worked out. So tonight we're in for another session of education. It's very interesting what we drink in our water. And we want to learn. We want to know what we're really drinking and what we should be drinking. So we've been blessed with Dr. William Craig, who will present to us tonight. And I'm going to give the baton to him. Kindly, introduce yourself further. Thank you.
Good evening, colleagues. I apologize for the technological problems we had coming through. There still seems to be something slightly there in that the screen is just a little bit larger than being able to see all of the screen itself. But I will apologize for that, and I will move forward because time is of the essence. My talk is based on the importance of us adequately hydrating ourselves. As Dr. O brought forth, is water a friend or foe? Let me just quickly respond to that foe issue. There is a disease state that most of us are aware of, where the individual is limited in consuming fluid. Exactly per day, per 12 or 16-hour day, she should not consume more than 1 liter of fluid. That presents a major issue. That's where the water becomes more than friend but foe. Those who exceed the limits of that will end up developing a shortness of breath, which is significant. That disease state is also kidney failure, where individuals are now paradoxically, they cannot consume what their body is made of mostly at this point. And we need to be aware of that because that state is actually right now, due to another illness, almost catastrophic. Let me begin with the slides. Without question, the necessity of fluid, we need it for life. There's no question about that. Anyone who denies that, I think needs to go back to the drawing board and understand how our bodies function in terms of making the nutrients that they put in available for use at this point. Dr. O, can you change the screen for me? Excellent. Human body has capability of producing a pint of water a day. The God that made us tried to protect us in that when we put ourselves in a state or position where we cannot hydrate, at least the body will make a pint of water a day. of course, given certain conditions, of course. But you have a period of time to survive to access water. And I say sometimes fluid, but I do mean water. So at this point, Dr. O, can you move forward? Where did we get this idea that 8 glasses of water was sufficient for us? Believe it or not, it came through at the end of the Second World War, late 40s, early 50s, when all of the soldiers were returning, and they were doing a lot of research about nutrition, about different things. It was determined at that time that the human body, and I'll say generally, requires approximately 8 glasses of water a day, which basically represents 8 glasses. A glass is 8 ounces. 8 times 8 is 64. So that's basically a half a gallon, and that's water. I think you went past the slide, Dr. O. That's correct. Determine the human body. Good. Move forward again, please. You're on mute, Dr. O. Good.
Give me thumbs up when you want the slides changed so I can change it.
Excellent. Consider this. At that time, the air was much better than it is. The quality of foods being sourced were much better in that we were not laden with all of the adulterants which have come almost in basically a half century. Atmospheric conditions were extraordinarily better, and social conditions in terms of stress and struggle were much less at that point in time. If we compare then to now, given how we have basically corrupted this wonderful planet that we exist on, air, land, and sea, not to mention the quality of foods and the adulterants which are in them at this point, it's easy to understand the possible need for a greater amount of water. Dr. O? Adequate, proper hydration, critical to health and well-being, good nutrition cannot exist without it. I might say that twice, but I believe you understand. A bottle of water should state only where it is coming from and what has been done to it. There should be no ingredient listing. And as I will move forward with these slides, you'll see what I mean in terms of that. And examples: distilled water, spring water, purified water, alkaline water, mineralized water, sea water. Let me just speak about distilled water first. It is a water that has had all of its mineral content and other extraneous items which might be in it removed completely. It is done through actually steam distillation, where the water is turned to steam, it's collected, and that which is collected is now totally distilled. There is absolutely nothing in it whatsoever. It is used primarily in terms of ironing, car radiator, et cetera, because there is no chance of it plaquing with the calcium and or the other minerals which tend to clog up the functioning of it. Spring water. Truthfully, spring water is a very generic term. Spring water is basically water which is being accessed from a spring, but there is no qualifying care of it. It is basically, they'll say, fresh tap water, so to speak, if there is such a thing at this point. But it does not, it hasn't been in terms of cleansed or changed in any way. It's just plain water which has been sourced from the land. Purified water, interesting water, and possibly what you will probably encounter now in the marketplace. Purified water is water that has been subjected to some kind of cleansing. They have removed basically many of the adulterants which might be in normal water, and then they've added something to it. One of the things which is really striking to me and really angers me is that as opposed to putting the actual name of the item that they've added to it, they'll put it in a chemical explanation, excellent form. And I'll just say the chemical form is magnesium sulfate. Now that is an item, and I'll just say this, which my grandmother used to soak her feet in. It is Epsom salts, very common to us. We've seen it for probably our entire lifetimes. But it is now in purified water. The question you would ask is, why are they putting Epsom salts in water? When you purify water, you have to add some of the minerals that they have removed from it back. So they've added magnesium sulfate, which is Epsom salts. They've added some calcium, which you'll see the calcium as maybe a calcium chloride or some other form of calcium. They've added potassium to it. And all in all, what it does is that it literally subtly changes the taste of water. It's interesting, I did do a study with some patients, and I put glasses of water, unmarked, of course, in front of them. And I asked them to taste it if they could tell me the difference. And they all picked the purified water as the water which they enjoyed, which told me that they have been basically, for most of their time, accessing purified water as opposed to drinking water, which is a pure water which serves them well. And it's much more healthier. There's this other state of water, alkaline water. This is a very, very interesting a water which has basically comes naturally and is also chemically created. Natural alkaline water can be sourced from the earth. It is water which comes through many of the rocks and mineral strata which are in the earth. There are brands which you can buy now which are natural alkaline water. The couple of names, you can access them through the web. It's easy to find. That's natural alkaline water. And basically, it's a water which is supplying you with a significant amount of minerals, in addition to the fact that it is slightly different in terms of the pH. Now, I'll mention that, maybe I should explain it now. pH, alkaline pH means that the body is slightly alkaline in its state. Alkaline water can range from 7.35, I think, to 7.25. And there are some waters in the marketplace which have been chemically created, which are 9.5 in terms of their alkalinity. It's not a bad water, but when it is consumed solely, it can present a problem, especially if you are buying alkaline water, which is not naturally produced, but chemically produced, because what they do is that they actually add a mineral to it and change the pH of the water. It is understood and commonly accepted that an acidic entity leaves the body vulnerable to various disease states. We need to be very aware of that, because there are certain, I'll extrapolate, there are certain foods which actually create a positive acidic state in our bodies. But this alkaline water can serve us well as long as it basically first starts with the natural source. And if it is not the natural source, but a chemically produced entity, You can drink it, but and liminalized in a very limited state. Next item is mineralized water. Now, this is an item which the FDA has actually approved. Any water that's claimed to be mineralized must have no less than 250 parts per million of the various minerals that are available to us in the land, in our foods, and things that we consume. And it can be as high as maybe 9,000 parts per million. But for any water to be certified as mineralized water, it has to go through a checking system in terms of being approved by the FDA, by those who control our foods and hopefully protect us from various items which are adulterated. Seawater, very interesting item, available for purchase. It is a water that is a natural. It is water that supplies you with trace minerals. Trace minerals are necessary for every function in our body. It is an item which has been around for some time, not very well used, but it is available to those who are looking to enhance their body's ability to handle whatever they do, because it is something that brings forth trace minerals. Trace minerals are absolutely critical to the body's function in terms of what it does completely. Just so you know, something that's just something to the side, in pharmacy, there are 5 specific waters which are used to create the medications that we take basically all the time. Nothing for us to be concerned about, but just be aware of it, that in pharmacy, there's a very specific way in which waters are used. So if something is being made or compounded, there is a particular water which is necessary to do that. Any water, actually, there is in the marketplace, Dasani, bottled by Coke. It is, I used to laugh at this with my other colleagues about what Coke did in terms of bringing forth this brand. I remember when it came into the marketplace specifically. They were throwing away the water that was being used to make Coke. Someone had the brilliant idea, as opposed to wasting that water, bottling it and making it palatable in terms of us drinking it. So they added, a recipe of an array of minerals and whatever, including magnesium sulfate, Epsom salts, to it, and they put it into a bottle. And now they call it Dasani. Where the name came from, I cannot tell you, but it is available to you, and it is everywhere in the marketplace. Nestle, too, has done the same thing in terms of creating a purified water, because all of these waters are purified. And they've also, you can now find waters which are flavored, which are purified. And I believe the most recent brand is that Hint water, which is now, you can get it in any flavor you want, but it's basically purified water. Any water that has an ingredient list is no longer water. You got to say that. You got to understand that. You got to be able to believe that, because we are, as consumers, we're being subject to someone's decision as to what is good for us. And usually that decision is coming out of a marketplace idea of profit and whatever else that's involved in it. Consider a good determinant of the level of our hydration. I've heard, as a pharmacist, as a nutritionist, as whatever, complaints, oh, I'm so dry, my skin is so dry, my skin is so dry. So they go to the marketplace and they buy creams and potions and lotions, and they saturate themselves with these items. Wonderful idea, but dryness comes from within, not without. If you want to retain some suppleness in terms of your skin and whatever else, you've got to begin to believe that you must hydrate. And I'm not talking about soda, coffee, tea, or juice. I'm talking about water. Those who drink little usually have some complaints about some level of dryness in terms of the skin. The largest organ of one's body is our skin. It needs to be taken care of, and we do that, of course, by first making sure that we are hydrating it properly. There is some research taking place now, and it's very real. There's a new water on the horizon, and it has been approved. In fact, you can even buy it. I know it's available in Europe at this point, and it's called DDW, Deuterium Depleted Water, and they term this as light water. Let me just explain, it's a little chemistry here. Deuterium is basically an isotope of hydrogen. And if you take out the hydrogen, which is water's H2O, but add or allow to be in another atom called neutron, you change the mass, the weight of the water. In fact, this is where the term light water came from. It has been registered in this country as a anti-cancer agent, and that took place in 1999. So it's been around a while. It's getting some acceptance in the medical and nutritional community. It has been changed. The claim is that if we remove the deuterium, we lighten the load of the water, which allows it to do much more in terms of hydrating. And there are studies going on right now, double-blind studies published in the Journal of Cancer Therapies. You can check this out. The water is very hard to find because it's not necessarily available in the marketplace. Of course, you can order it from Europe, but it's there for you to check out and believe. There is significant controversy surrounding the hydrogen in water, because I was just reading today a study which claims that the availability of hydrogen is better than removing it. So you have controversy still going on, things happening about it. Hard to understand, truthfully, not for the layman per se, but understand that there are waters which are being created as we speak, basically, to hydrate. Some of them are very good, and some of them I would absolutely call questionable at this point in time. It is interesting that we as consumers need to understand that when we walk into a marketplace and we look to buy something, we have to make ourselves aware that to understand what's on that label is critical, because we're putting something into the body, which is the most precious item we will ever have in our living. There is nothing more precious. I don't care how much money you make, how smart you are. If you do not respect the preciousness and the gift of our body, i.e. take care of it in ways, then whatever happens is basically on you at this point. I don't know if there's another slide, Dr. O. Is there? No, I think that's it at this point. What I want to add, though, about this is that, I've gone through this in really a quick time, per se. I cannot overstate the need to, number one, hydrate adequately, and also to begin to understand the need to read a label. Some people believe that they can walk into a health food store and everything in the store is healthy. No, it is not. It is still necessary for you to read a label to understand what you are putting into this precious structure, our body at this point in time. Questions?
Thank you so very much for that presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I have never heard anyone talk about water before. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and while we continue this. So I'd like to ask you some things. I see that you had 6 types of waters listed up there. I'm not quite clear which one is the good water to drink, as well as, you also put up the Danone water, but we have other types of water, like the, which one is that popular one that my missus buy, we have other types of water in the market. So what are the differences? If you can just please tell us, and which one is good to drink? Thank you.
Basically, if I were an individual looking to quench my thirst, I would go to the mineralized water, because that is the water which has been deemed that it must have a certain amount of parts per million of the minerals, which are necessary to our body, to our function, to our nutrition at this point. There are many kinds. I did go through, example, we have carbonated mineral water. And how do you carbonate mineral water? You pass it through a gas, carbon dioxide. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that kind of water. And I'll give you a brand which people know, Perrier. Perrier is carbonated mineral water. It's slightly acidic, but that level of acidity is not harmful to our bodies at this point. We also have various companies have started producing natural alkaline water in addition to the chemical alkaline water. The water that is available naturally is under the brand of Glacier, and I'm pretty sure you can go online and find it. It is a naturally occurring alkaline water. Now, there's a term which basically we hear about, artesian water. And artesian water is water that is sourced solely below the surface, meaning that it is a well, and water comes up from that well. All waters termed artesian are well waters.
In 200 feet, turn left to Waterfront Street and then turn left.
Now, the question—
mute, please. Thank you.
The question about artesian waters, people say that they're very good, but where in the land is the well? If that land is not in a good condition, or where it has been subjected to poor farming conditions in terms of the use of various chemicals and adulterants, you're getting wonderful well water that has been tainted by the various items which have been put upon the land on top. Every kind of water that's out there, and I'll use let's say the Nestle's or the Dasani water. They have manipulated that water to the point where they've changed some of the formulation. Instead of having the magnesium sulfate, they'll have a different sulfate item. Sulfate is basically insoluble in our body. And while we look for it in other food sources because it does, the sulfite radical can help us in ways, but in water, no, it's not of any value whatsoever. So again, the necessity, when you walk in and you walk into a place and you see levels of water across the board, Fiji, what else, Evian, of various brands, you need to read the label because each brand has various kinds of water coming out of it, trying to satisfy the marketplace to make the money. But you have carbonation, you have flat, and then you have purified. Many brands also have a purified water. As in Evian. Evian has a purified water, and people like Evian, but the water is purified, which means that they've added the mineral entity sulfate, magnesium sulfate to it. You're absolutely correct, doctor, that there are many, many waters on the marketplace right now, but it's like a duplication of the one item with a twist to it. So it does require someone to take their time instead of rushing in, picking a bottle and walking out, using it. There's something else also that was mentioned, that I saw in my research. Water that's in plastic, especially distilled water and or some of the other waters, sometimes because the waters have been adulterated, the ability of the water to leach the plastic that's in the bottle into the water is there. So the problem is to find water that's in glass, truthfully, that will serve that issue, especially distilled water, because some people drink distilled water. Why, I don't know. There's also a RO water. Now, we've heard the term, I'm pretty sure people have heard it. It's reverse osmosis. It's where the water is basically been wiped clean of any entities in it completely. All of the mineralization is gone complete. It is the water that is used for people who are on dialysis primarily. And because it's wiped clean, before it goes into the patient, they have to re-add the various minerals, the calcium, the magnesium, the potassium, and in some cases, even the sodium. So we have, again, variations in that as well. The claim for purified water is that some of them say that their waters have gone through an RO and then treated. It should say it on a label. You need to see it. You need to, and if it's not there, you need to ask the question. So, yes, it is. We are seeing an extreme explosion of waters to us, being available to us now, all claiming to have some nutritional value, some health value, which necessitates us to make ourselves aware of what's going on in the marketplace, if you care.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That was a loaded answer. We do have some questions in the chat box. So, Honorable Gustav, I'll hand over to you to tackle those.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bill and Dr. O. There's a question in the chat, Zoom user. It says, how does the body make a pint of water a day? If that is not a question, Zoom user, you can unmute and clarify that question.
You want me to respond, or someone's going to clarify the question?
No, you can respond.
I believe that's probably out of my range per se, Dr. O. Yes, the body has a way of actually producing enough water for the organs to function. This is not for you to drink. You're not drinking water. You're not pouring the body and drinking water. It is water which the body is producing so that in terms of organ survival. So that's what happens. Physically, I would be hard pressed to give you that example. A physiatrist might be able to bring it forward in terms of explaining exactly where that's coming from.
Okay, thank you. There's another one. It says, what are the effects of excess of alkaline water?
It disrupts the body's pH. When you change the body's pH, and it could be a very slight change, you disrupt the body's metabolism in a way which can be, in some cases, catastrophic, to say. And it doesn't require a big change. So overconsumption of alkaline water, especially a chemically produced alkaline water, I think is a serious state of affairs. And again, it should not be consumed as a regular entity to drink every day. It is something that is used, maybe you can use it periodically, but it does have its limitation in terms of consumption because it is something that we need to be aware of because it can alter the body's pH, and our pH must remain at a certain level in our living all day, every day. Our pH, I believe, is 7.2 something to 7.3 something at this point. And acidic body is prone or is vulnerable to various illnesses and disease states.
So just to add on to that, or maybe you can, say something about this. A lot of people believe that your body has to be in a certain alkalinity or alkaline state in order to prevent cancers. I've seen people who have cancer who then go on alkaline water and use different things to alkalinize their bodies because they believe that cancer cells will be destroyed or don't flourish in that environment. What do you think?
That is absolutely, absolutely true. Our body is naturally in an alkaline state. We are 7.2 or 7.3. That is an alkaline state. Anything below 7 is acidic. Anything above 7 is alkaline. So you're very true. A healthy body, an alkaline, slightly 7.2, 7.3 has a greater opportunity of withstanding various disease states that come through. To again add to that in terms of the question before about drinking alkaline water, yes, we can consume some, but all the time. One of the issues one of the waters which I spoke to was the mineral water. That tends to be slightly alkaline. It's alkaline naturally. It's not alkaline chemically. It would be a wonderful water to use on a daily basis. That's the water which I would recommend to become consumed in a way which adds to our health and wellness. But you're totally correct. If we can maintain our certain pH state to be slightly above 7.2, 7.3, I think we'd be in a better state in terms of a healing. That last water that I spoke to, the DDW, the deuterium depleted water, speaks to that because it absolutely removes the hydrogen. It lightens the water because it takes away the hydrogen plus the neutron, which we naturally incur in our living every day. So when we drink that, we are, in essence, the water is slightly alkaline. Very hard to find. Again, to my knowledge, it's only available through Europe, and there's a particular company that's selling it. In fact, they even had to look up the exchange between £1 and $1 because they were selling it for it was listed in pounds at that point. But again, it's available. The alkalinization, again, is a state which I think that we need to understand that various foods that we put in our body create acidic conditions, acidic states. And this is where we need to make sure we flush, and we should be flushing with something that serves us well, as opposed to just normal tap water or flavored water or something that has been purified.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pio. I say there's another one says, where would clean, pure river water fit in this scenario?
Say that again.
Where would clean, pure river water fit in this scenario?
River water?
River water, yes.
Is that reverse osmosis water? Are they speaking about in terms of that?
No. River that is flowing.
Oh, river. Wonderful river water. Huh?
Clean.
Good evening.
River water.
You'd have to tell me the land where it's coming through, Gustav, because
I asked the question, so I was.
That's Dr. Damien. Dr.
Dr.
Damien,
Damien.
please.
Speak, Dr. Damien.
I asked the question because in Dominica, rivers, tropical place, and there are water which is considered clean and pure, straight from the mountain. If you catch it at a particular source, it's nice and natural and clean. Maybe lower down, it might get contaminated. So that's what I was trying to see, where this water would fit. It would be, would it fit considered as spring water because it passes through the rocks and vegetation before it flows out? So I just wanted to see where water.
It would be considered as actually mineralized water because it's flowing from the mountains through the rocks, the crevices, through the various uncontaminated soil things. It would be called mineral water in terms of that, better than spring water, because spring water is just fancy tap water in a bottle that you pay for with great monies. So no, but in this country, I'd be hard pressed, Dr. Damien, to tell you anywhere in this land where I can go to a river and be sure I can drink the water and still continue to be well at this time. So the fact that in Dominica you could find that, that's excellent. That's absolutely excellent. So I'm glad it's still there, given all the pollutions in the air, which we are aware of, which is happening around us and about us. So
thank you. Is rainwater good to consume? Now, of what good is ozone water?
That's an interesting question. Ozone water tends to be, I would probably say it's slightly acidic, I'm not certain because they was pushing ozone water as a healing water. And given that it's being quote, characterized as a healing water, you'd think it'd be alkalinized because when you ozone something, ozonation, you're adding oxygen to it at this point in time. So you're doing something on that order. So I would, even though it's being termed slightly healing, which would imply alkalinization, I have a sense that it would tend to be slightly acidic. And I've been aware of that process for some time because people have been using it, believing that if it's consumed, it will prevent and or heal various disease states, as in cancer and different things.
Thank you so much.
So what about rainwater?
Rain?
Yes. What about rainwater? Is it a good source? Is what the other half of that question is.
Yes and no. I have to say yes and no. I am suspect about what we've done to our air, Dr. O. We are, we've done things. I'm not a very trusting individual per se, in terms of listening to someone saying, do this, take this, you'll feel better. And as they put their hand in my pocket, no, that's not something that I trust. Normally one would think, yes, rainwater represents some kind of value, and I would almost agree with it. I know in the islands, there are homes that I visited that they actually have collecting systems, and they use that. There are ways in which that water is checked. You'd be amazed if I told you how they check that water. And I didn't believe it myself, but and it was very simple. As we know, sometimes the conditions are not very well there, and people try and survive the best way they can. And yes, they do collect the water, but someone was called to see if the rainwater was of value and healthy enough for someone to drink. The gentleman came in with a small black bag, and in the bag was a goldfish. He dropped it in the water. Came back the next day. If the goldfish was alive, the water was good. Extraordinary. Extraordinary.
Dr. O, you're muted.
I'm sorry?
Wow. It's all I can say.
Extraordinary. It's extraordinary. But it's real, because who can afford the testing of the water to find out if your collection is good? Water happens to be a very expensive item in the islands. Yeah, you can take the chance of drinking the water that comes through the supply system. But when I visited there for the time, I basically, bought what I could, and then I basically started boiling my water completely, because I did not know the level of purity that was there. So it's a real thought. I like to believe rain has some value, but then again, you still have to be careful, because you do not want to suffer the consequences.
There are many kinds of water on the market. Now, one wants to know, how do we know which one is good for our bodies?
Maybe Dr. O, can you say check out the body and find out whether they need this water, they need that water? What can you say?
Well, I'll tell you, Dr. Bill, I guess, that's Attorney Williams who asked that question. The water information is a lot. It's new to us. If you pick what water is good, somebody asked in there, vitamin water, they wanted to know about vitamin water. That's another kind of water. And I see that a lot. So which one would you say, okay, this is the one to buy, this is not the one to buy, or this is the one to drink, this is not the one to drink? I'm sure that's what he's asking.
Let's speak about the vitamin water. To me, I think that's probably a scam, to be honest with you. I doubt whether the vitamins in the particular water that you're buying are in a state which is absorbable by our bodies. If you say you're giving me a water that has, let's say, vitamin A in it, vitamin A water, I doubt, truthfully, that the way the water is prepared, that the available A that's in the water, if there is any, will be able, our bodies will be able to use it. Now, again, as I spoke to before, the water which I would go to is a mineral water, a mineralized water. Now, that water has a natural array of minerals in it, and I would play safe as opposed to buying vitamin water or even this new thing called smart water. which they have out there. Everyone wants to have smart water, and maybe they're looking for increase in mentation or whatever, I don't know. I haven't read all of the labels of the smart water, but I have questions about it, quote, making available what's in it, usable by the body. And I'll give you an example of an item which occurred. We know that when we hydrate, the items that we put in need to go into solution, need to be broken down, need to pass through and enter into our intestinal area. That's where most of the absorption takes place. Now, if something is in the water, as in, let's just say a calcium-based water, and you add something, and you take that with a pill or with a capsule or whatever you're taking, it could literally interfere with the breakdown of that particular item in the body. There's also something which we didn't mention, which is coming forth. When you drink alkaline water, it's going into your stomach, which is the highest, the lowest pH of your body. So what's happening in that stomach? Well, you've just put in a basic entity into the stomach, which is highly, highly acidic. Have you changed the nature of the stomach? Have you changed its ability to break down food and to make it available to our body in terms of, again, breaking it down to a point where it's of value? So again, we have issues going on here, which are above and beyond a simple kind of explanation, truthfully. Again, I would say the mineralized water is a water which you should go to. Again, you can access online a company, Perrier. You do Perrier, you like Perrier, carbonated or not carbonated at this point. That's safe, easy. Glacier, Fiji water is claimed to come from artesian wells. So you have all these items. All of them require you to read the label. You got to read the label of it. It's just extraordinary what's going on in the marketplace concerning of water, because it's like a multi-billion-dollar business, and everyone's trying to bring forth an item which they believe might be of value, and in most cases, sometimes it is not. Smart waters, vitamin waters, wonderful idea, but I doubt whether they serve. Mineralized waters are a water that has minerals in it. Minerals are very, very small, and they are easily they easily go through the system, and they also catalyze all of our body functions. So it's a value that way. I don't know if that answered the question, which would be the best water for the best person at this point. I would actually stay away from the sugar waters. They are no value. I'd be very careful with man-made alkaline waters completely, because I don't trust the degree of alkalinization and or the way in which they've done it. Distilled water, you should never drink, because that creates a totally acidic condition. And it can even leach out your available minerals in your body. So you don't want to do that at all. So we're back to mineral waters per se.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bill. Essential. It's a water that is high pH, alkaline. Is that okay?
I've seen that. I've seen that ad. It's claiming to be a brand that brings forth alkaline water. I don't know the degree of alkalization of it. Some waters will tell you, the degree of alkalization. I have not seen that label, so I can't speak wholly on it. But I am aware of the brand. I did see that. And yes, it is alkaline, if that's the question.
So what is DDW again? My brother, Mr. Doherty, is asking.
DDW is a new,
DDW.
DDW is a new
Just the acronym. He wants to know what he is again.
deuterium depleted water. Deuterium is an isotope of hydrogen. So if we take out the hydrogen of the water, and all waters have some level of a neutron mass, all waters have it. You take out the hydrogen, which then brings forth, takes out the mass. You now are making water lighter. And it's a paradox, because what is the heaviest thing on the planet? Water. So you have now made water lighter. This water is claimed to be, and actually they're doing studies right now with prostate cancer in terms of how it is impacting individuals who have been diagnosed with prostate cancer. So it is something which is now available, and it is also, may I say, very expensive. It is a chemical process. You cannot access it. You cannot go to the land. You cannot go to your faucet, whatever. It is something that is created in the lab, and that's why it's expensive. The FDA did indeed approve it, and I mentioned that in the slide. It actually was approved in 1999 for animal use in terms of animals with carcinomas. Anti-cancer entity. It is termed an anti-cancer entity. Is that enough in terms of deuterium? Deuterium is something.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Is tap water good? What if you add lime or lemon to tap water?
If you were in Chicago and drank tap water, you'd be in trouble whether you added lime or lemon, because the tap water, unfortunately, has this is news in terms of it was actually corrupted with lead, with various other entities that were either in the source where the water was coming from, as in a land where they store water, and or it's coming through the pipes in various people's homes, and or pipes in the ground where they lived. Tap water with lime is just, to me, flavored water at this point. I would say, don't hurt the lemon or the lime. Drink the lemon by itself. Leave the water away from it. Tap water away from it at this point in time. I say that facetiously, but it is important to understand that many of the taps that we drink from are questionable in terms of purity.
Well, in Chicago, yes, and in Germany, you don't want to drink the water. Well, we've talked about this before on this platform, that, your tap water, when filtered, is actually okay.
What filter?
Correct.
What filtering process? There are many filters out there. There are many filters, or do we have good ones, bad ones in between? Those which have just one level of filtration, I would call questionable. We know that various viruses and bacteria are so small that some of them pass through. Is the filter 3 micron, 5 micron, 2 micron, 1 micron? What is the quality of the filter? I agree with you. Yes, you can use something to filter, but you must absolutely have a good filtering system. Something just came out maybe 3 months ago called TerraPure. It's a filtering system that they're now claiming removes everything in the water and you can drink it. TerraPure, go online, it's online. Again, it doesn't tell you the level of filtration that's taking place. We need that information as consumers. Just to show you again, reverse osmosis water goes down as it's moving through, passes through a micron filter as the last filter. You go from 5 to 3 to 1. So that's the degree of filtration. And it's necessary because in terms of that water going into a human body, if it's not cleaned, you'll have a catastrophic condition.
So what about filtering through the refrigerator? What level of filtration is that? How many microns?
Well, it depends on which filter you buy, truthfully.
Through the refrigerator. It comes with the refrigerator, the filtration through refrigerator.
I understand that. I am in a place now that has this kind of a thing, and I ask him, what is the filter? Show me the filter. He showed me the filter. It happens to be a 2 micron filter. Now, I'm acceptable with that at this point in time. Some refrigerators have a 5 micron filter. You have to read the filter. You have to read the degree of the process. And yes, to have a refrigerator that does that, I think is a boon in terms of being able to at least gather some clean water. But again, it just requires just making yourself aware of various things that are out there in terms of that.
Thank you very much. Now, Daniel Akintonde wants your advice on the efficacy of alkaline water for excessive stomach acid and how much and how often should be consumed daily.
So she has chlorhydria in terms of the acid state, basically. Is that a medical condition? I would probably say, could something be going on medically, which is producing an over acidic state at this point? I believe that the body is not just the stomach or the legs or the arms, but it's a holistic entity. What else is going on? What is creating the hyperacidity that she's suffering with? If she were to put into her system alkaline water, maybe for a moment or two, that might very well quell some of the issues in terms of the acidity in the stomach. Do I think that that's wise? I'm not a doctor, a medical doctor that deals with gastro entity things. I do believe that might necessitate going to a gastroenterologist who can then do more in terms of determining why there is a hyperacid state in terms of the body. No, we have achlorhydria, we have other things going on which are happening, but she's talking about something excessive. Is it GERD? Is she diabetic? What foods is she putting in? There's a whole array of things we need to determine, just to say. One of the things, I'll speak to this because I have dealt with it. People complain about, I see them buying various things off the marketplace, Gelusil, Mylanta, different things in that order to aid in the stomach upset. But once you take that into the stomach area, which is a hyperacid place, you then suppress the conditions of the acidity. But because the acidity is the natural state of that area, it will go back to that state. So you find people who are drinking bottles and bottles and bottles of this thing, taking pills and pills and pills of this, trying to suppress the condition that's going on. And again, I believe that needs to be dealt with by a gastroenterologist to be spoken to.
Water in the plastic bottle left in a closed vehicle for one day. Is it wise to consume?
No. Water your plants with it. No, not at all. Not at all. Okay. We need to move away from plastic. We're not doing it. In fact, plastic, if you want to speak to the environmentalists, they'll tell you it's one of the #1 products in terms of it being in our oceans, being somewhere in our land, because it doesn't break down. It's there. We need to start going back to bottles, water, glass bottles at this point in time. There is something in plastic called phthalates, PTHLATES, which is an endocrine disruptor. And we have plastic all around us, which we are consuming in ways which are basically, in truth, I'll use an example, phthalates feminize men. And it is research out there. You can access that. You can do with it, but it's everywhere around us. It's in some of the grain that we buy. Some of the products we buy in the street they're in plastic bags. So it's terrible at this point. Dr. Gustav, you just disappeared.
I'm back. So. All right. What did you say about spring water? What is the best water to drink?
Best water, again, going back to the question, is mineral water.
Mineral water. Okay.
Mineral water. Yeah, mineralized water. Spring water is wonderful, but where is the spring?
Thank
Is
you.
the spring in my backyard? No, I don't want to do that. Okay.
Is RO water good to drink?
No. It is water that has been completely demineralized in every possible way. RO stands for reverse osmosis. That water is going through various steps back and forward to remove all of the minerals that are in that water so they can then go into the human body flat, plain, without adding any kind of toxic material, bacteria, etc. in it. Again, it is water that is used in the dialytic process.
Thank you so much. Is it better?
I'll just add to that. There was an incident in Chicago, sadly, where the RO mechanism broke down. One of the filters became clogged, so it bypassed that filter. And it went into patients' arms, and several patients died.
Thank you. Is it better to boil and filter tap water rather than purchase water bottled in plastic?
Excellent question.
I would say yes, and that's a wonderful question. But after they boil it and cool it, how are they storing it? Are they putting it in glass bottles? Hopefully, that'll be wonderful. But it's an excellent question. I absolutely agree with it. It is what I did when I was in the islands, when I could not buy the water that was in the plastic, and I didn't trust the tap water. So I boiled my water and I stored it in a refrigerator. Excellent question.
Okay, so there's a question from Dr. Ajagbe. It says, how does a smart scale estimate the body's water consumption?
How does the smart scale
estimate the body's water?
That's an excellent question. These scales have been made to pass a very small electrical charge through the body to where there are 2 points of electrical charge which are taped to the body. The rapidity of the movement of that charge passing through goes through a arithmetic formula which determines because water conducts electricity, correct? And in the speed, in the rapidity of that charge moving forth will tell you exactly how much water is present in the body. It is used it can be used in when they're determining dry weight and wet weight. Because if someone is in a treatment process, they walk in for treatment, they've got to determine how much water they are to take out from that body. So they put them on this scale. This scale has a small electrical impulse charge, travels through, and it tells you how much water it is. Most of the scales, however, are just a general classic where if you leave at 5 pounds and you come back at 6 pounds, they assume you have 1 pound of water there, and that's what they take off. Those places that are much more sophisticated will have this kind of machine available. I was able to get one, and I was able to use it on patients. It is time consuming, but it does give you an accurate item in terms of active tissue, fat, and water.
Interesting.
It was a wonderful item.
How does one get the DDW water that is anti-cancerous?
Ivy is actually, she's in London. So
she's in London. She could go onto the thing. I believe the company is called Q-Lavaria. You can get it in London. That's where it is. It's in the UK.
fantastic. Dr. Ajagbe has his hand on, and that's my sister in London, by the way. So
Fabulous.
I'll ask her how the water tastes when she tries it. Dr. Ajagbe, you have your hand raised, sir. Can you please unmute and ask your question?
Wow, this is a very exciting topic. I see a lot of people are raising lots of questions. I do have a few comments, and just to add some substance to what Dr. Craig has already shared. One of them is the issue of the bio impedance analysis, which is the smart scale. Exactly what he has described is what happens. It does is no longer as complicated as before. It's very simple now. In fact, you could get one for $30 or less, and it's the most popular of them now is RENPHO, RENPHO, RENPHO. I have one. It does have 4 electrodes on the scale. You stand on 2 electrodes with each foot, and that's how it does the the algorithm, and it actually computes 13 parameters from BMI to BMR to body fat. It does measure the subcutaneous fat, abdominal fat, visceral fat. It measures the bone density, the bone mass. So some of these things are very useful nowadays. They are not as complicated as they used to be. So anyone who is serious about monitoring their health should be able to obtain one smart scale. You don't have to buy RENPHO. A lot of different competitors are out there that you can benefit from. The other thing I want to mention is the issue of rainwater. Rainwater, yes, there's the concern that it may have, may be acidic because of the pollutants in the air. I just wanted to share the fact that in places like Africa or Asia, where there is the Moringa plant, Moringa can easily be used to purify the water before they drink it. And I can also remind those of us who grew up in West Africa many years ago, in elementary school, we used to collect rainwater in pots or buckets and all of that stuff. And the way we purified the water at that time was to add alum. I don't know how many people remember alum. I think it's aluminum silicate that we added to the water, and it will precipitate all the whatever is contaminating the water to the bottom of the container. So those are ways by which, not everybody on the call is in the United States. because all the water that we've been describing are primarily here in the United States, and maybe some of them are in Europe or in Asia, but a lot of the brands of water we're talking about are not in West Africa, or maybe they're just filtering into those places now. In those places, we have what they call the sachet water, pure water, and all these kind of different brands that exist in Nigeria. I think people that are drinking those brands of water are just doing it at their own risk, because you have no idea what kind of filtration system they are using, if they're using any at all. So my recommendation or suggestion is, if you have a Moringa plant in your backyard, or you have it in your neighborhood, I think you can use the seed to your advantage to purify your water if you are suspicious of how clean the water is. The third thing I want to mention is about the filters to filter our tap water here. I use Brita. There's Pure, P-U-R, and there's Brita. Those two definitely I'm very familiar with, and they have the pore size. The pore size of the filter is 1 micron. So FDA approved it to actually filter 99% of 3 micron size microorganisms. So from 3 microns up, they know nothing will go through the Brita filter or the Pure filter. And I think it's the same. Those two brands are also present in the refrigerators. So for Dr. O that wanted to know whether the one in the refrigerator is safe or not, yes, it is 1 micron pore size. The key to the effectiveness of this filter is in the recognizing time to change. If you continue using the filter when it is already obsolete, you're not getting any effect. So it's best for you. Nowadays, they have put some electronic timers in them that actually will monitor how long you have used the filter. If the day you change the filter is the day you activate the timer, it will count down over time, and then it will change color from green light that flashes when you refill the pitcher, and it will continue to change color through amber, through red. The moment it changes to red, you know it's no longer guaranteeing any filtration. So it's best for you to change the filter. That's what the manufacturer suggests to do. Change the filter when the light changes to red.
Excellent breakdown. I am aware of the Renfro. In fact, I do have one here. And yes, the technology for measuring the BIA is changed dramatically. I'm talking about a 10-year encounter with it 10 years ago, maybe 12. And my machine cost me $5,000 to get the machine. So it is a wonderful machine. It is of critical use when you are measuring people who are amassing fluid and you need to handle it. So it is critical, but it's not yet readily available, I'd say technologically wise, to people for whatever reason. The refrigerator filter is you're absolutely correct, Dr. Ajay. This refrigerator here, I don't know if it's based on time. I think it's based on back pressure. So when that filter becomes clogged, there is a light that goes on and says change filter. It's not based on time. It's based on, I think, a back water pressure here. In New York, when I'm there, unfortunately, so much is occurring in the streets and ground they're digging up. That filter that I had in my system, which was supposed to last me per gallon wise, maybe 3 to 5 months, usually went out in maybe 6 weeks because of the sediment that was going into the water. And I realized that that filter was just too fine in terms of doing what it was doing. But I'm glad that it indicated that something was wrong. So I actually thank you for your comment. It's really on time and it's perfect, absolutely perfect.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jagbe. Thank you, Dr. Bill, for sharing this vital information about water. Now let's talk about water coming out of our body by way of sweating. Why do we sweat? Is sweating good or bad? Now, given the era we are in, that's COVID, is sweating good for the immune system?
Do you want to answer that, Dr. O, or do you want me to say something?
You can go ahead.
Sweating is a way in which we cool our bodies. That is a natural mechanism. When you cannot sweat, that means that water, which has some level of toxic material in it, is staying inside the body and it is sickening the body. So that's why we sweat. Now, in terms of the COVID, I don't know how sweating impacts the degree of infection. I'm not that aware of it per se. I just off the cuff, and it's not. Don't write this down. But if you concentrate water, you could put, say, 2 glasses of water with a tablespoon of salt in the pot, and boil that water down. Taste it first. It's not too salty. Boil that water down. It gets saltier and saltier. The question is, if we are dehydrated, does that amplify and impact the level of the disease state? I don't know, and I can't speak to that.
Dr. Aho, you want to add to it?
Sweating is good. Like Dr. Bill said, it cools your body down. So does that impact your immune system? I would say anything that keeps your body in a state of homeostasis, or in a stable state, impacts your immune system positively, strengthens your immune system. So that's part of life, regardless of COVID. But that's an excellent question.
Good.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Going back on Moringa, Dr. Dublin wants to know how to utilize it, I think, to purify water.
That's a very good question.
I put a link. I've already posted something on the chat.
Okay.
If you click the link or copy the link, and it will give you step by step of how to use it. At least that's one way that somebody has documented that is searchable online. So you can just copy that and search for that on your web browser.
How do you use it, Dr. Jagbe, yourself? You want to know the way you do it?
Well, I don't use it because I don't have a need to use it here. I use the seeds for a totally different reason, but not for purifying water. But I know I've read several times that one of the major values of the tree of life, which is Moringa tree, is the ability to use it to purify water. That in some situations they've used it to actually treat the sewage. So if people are using it in such creative ways and it's doing a great job, well, I mean, if you are in a place where you have Moringa and you have the seeds, I think the one I posted has to do with how to use the seed, the dried seed, to purify the water that you think is contaminated. So, the steps are very straightforward. And I think what they're saying is to use the seeds that are allowed to dry on the plant. You don't plug the fruits or the pods before they dry up on the plant. And so when you do that, you can take out the kernels and use the kernels by crushing it, dissolve it in a little bit of water, and then you filter that. It is the filtered milky extract that you now pour into the water you want to purify. So I think that's straightforward enough in order for you to be able to use moringa seeds for purifying water, at least for you to be able to drink and know that it's safe.
I have a question. Dr. Ajabe, there are 13 species. Is there a particular species which you are speaking to?
You're talking about a moringa plant?
Yes.
Well, I mean, the one that I think I can't give you the full name now, but I think it's Moringa oleifera, the one that we have in West Africa, and I think is the same one they have in East Africa and in Asia. So I'm not sure which other ones that you're alluding to, but the common ones that we have is the Moringa. I think it's the oleifera. I don't want to.
It is the oleifera.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
I think it's the oleifera, but
Yeah.
I don't want to be too confident about that and then find out it's wrong.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Pitt, any thoughts on desalinated water as an option? Taste is not the best, but any thoughts on that?
There's research going on, given what's going on with the planet in terms of the temperature increasing and the need for water. There are plants which are trying to desalinate water. In particular, I think that there are a couple of European countries down in the southern part of the world, making water to be used for irrigation, maybe for different other things. Yes, the taste is slightly different. I'm not so sure at this point they have refined the process enough for it to be consumed on a general basis per se. But it is ongoing because while we take our water sometimes for granted here, there are parts of the world where it is absolutely in short supply. And, we just need to be aware of that.
Thank you so much. Another one from Dr. Dublin. How can we determine the difference between natural mineralized water and chemically induced?
Good question. I think it's totally subjective, truthfully. I don't know if my palate and or anyone else's that I know of is refined enough to determine whether something is chemically produced and or of natural. There is a difference in how waters taste. The taste is subtle. It's a subtle difference. I did tell you that I did this experiment with bottles or glasses of water blinded, and they did not know what the water was. And I had maybe 5 or 6. This was a simple test. 5 or 6 patients, the 6 patients tasting it and asking me, and I asked them which water was the preferred water. And they all inadvertently picked the mineralized water, I believe I said at that point. Again, I do believe it's subjective. I do believe the waters that we're seeing in the marketplace have been created basically to taste the way they do. I do think that people who have been drinking the Dasani for an extraordinary period of time would prefer that over mineralized water, because they'll say that mineralized water does not taste right to them. And I've heard people say that. Unfortunately, they have been how can I say, their palates have been corrupted in terms of tasting what is good at this point. But it's something we need to be aware of. And sometimes all things good for us don't necessarily taste the way they should.
Thank you, Dr. Bill. There's a question to Dr. Ajagbe. How much of moringa leaves do one need to purify water?
Actually, I have no idea because I have not done the experiment, and I don't really have a clue of how they've used leaves. But the one I've read and the link that I actually posted has to do with the seeds. So, if that's the one I have access to right now, that's what I'm sharing. But I know I've had of the moringa plant that every part of the moringa tree is useful for one thing or another, particularly for purification of water. But I would not be able to tell you by way of prescription of how many leaves to watch to how many gallons of water to cause purification. I do not have that answer.
Thank you so much. Dr. Bill, you mentioned seawater in your presentation. I know in some parts of Africa, they kind of processing seawater to run through the tap. How safe is that water? Seawater. Seawater.
Seawater?
Yes.
There is something, and I'll use a term in pharmacognosy that deals with herbs and how they are grown on the land. There are certain herbs which can be grown in a excessive soil that has a lot of salinity, has a lot of salt. There are herbs which can be grown in a soil which has less. There are herbs which can be grown in soil which is completely dry. Now, that seawater going through the land, I'm going to make an assumption here, correct me if I'm wrong, that it is water which is going into the land to irrigate, not to drink. Hopefully they're not drinking it.
It's running through the tap, so.
Seawater is running through the tap, you're saying?
They're processing it and running through the tap.
So you're saying they are processing it and they're running through the tap.
Yeah.
I would question the process that they're using because it is, we know that we cannot drink seawater because we will, of course, not last long at this point in terms. So again, I am, I would have to be there. I'd have to test. I'd have to find out what's going on. I am absolutely aware that there are factions in the world which will claim different things in terms of profiting. But I also know example in this country alone, where something is made which is not exactly acceptable, we export it to other countries and claim for the value. So again, I am really suspect about that being done. And hopefully the agencies of the world are monitoring this process and they can themselves attest to whether or not it is something which is harming those people who are there.
Thank you so much. I have one interesting one for you. What type or kind of water does Dr. Bill Gregg drink?
Right now, I am drinking. I am in a home that has a refrigerator, that has a filter at 2 microns, and I drink that primarily. Pretty much so. At certain ages, bodies require more money, more water. They also require money too. More water. So I am drinking at least 8 to 10 glasses of water a day of this water. And it's important. I absolutely try to avoid being out in the open somewhere and have to buy a bottle of water, because I know, I'm reading it and this is not what I want. I am thirsty, but this is not what I want. So basically, I'll either do that or nothing at all. That's what I drink. Good question.
Thank you so much. We've learned a lot on water, and a lot of information has been given to us. At this time, I'll bring in Dr. O for our Medical Monday moment of inspiration.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome. Oh my gosh. Water. Is it a friend or a foe? Which one is it? I guess it depends on what we choose to drink. We've learned a lot. Thank you so very much, Dr. Bill. Lots of accolades in the group chat. People are thanking you for the information, for the knowledge, and we are grateful. Thank you. Now is our Medical Mondays moment. And today, things happened. Some people had difficulty getting on. A lot of people didn't get on time. I was like, what was going on? And then we found out there was a problem. There was a glitch. I had to go back to Zoom, go edit the Zoom link we use. And, everybody had to log out and then log back in. But as God always does it, everything fell into place. We're here and we enjoyed the presentation. We've learned a lot. All glory be to God. However, somebody, Attorney Marsha Edwards, my darling sis, quickly texted me to tell me there was a problem, came in on her phone and said, look, I can come in on my phone, but there is a problem. So I asked her to please go back, log back in, and be my guinea pig. And she did. To affirm that everything is well. So our gift today goes to her.
Excellent.
It will be an Amazon gift card and it goes to her. She's always on Medical Mondays, hardly ever miss any. She misses it when she has other important things to do. Amazing woman, powerful woman who just gives back to the community, to students, University of Maryland and the likes. And, she's always here on Medical Mondays and helped us out tonight. Thank you so much, sis.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all you do for our communities. And thank you for helping us out tonight. So next week, we have another treat. We have Dr. Sandhu coming to talk to us about nutrition and intermittent fasting. There's been, no matter where we are, it's very important to learn how to give our bowel rest and when to give it rest. There's a lot going on about intermittent fasting, and we feel it is time that we know what is research proven, what really should be done, and how it should be done, because a lot of people are doing it wrongly. She'll come in next week, and we're looking forward to her coming in right back to back after that to come on the forum to show us some cooking. Every one of us will love this. She's going to do practical things, and I'm not going to, say more than that because I don't want to give out too much until we actually enjoy it. There has to be some element of surprise. So we have a lot of good things coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to revert back to Dr. Bill and ask that you please give us some concluding statements.
I'd like to thank the opportunity to bring forth some of what I've learned over the years. I hope it's been of value. The final thing in all of this is that you never ever stop learning. You must continue to learn. We are in a age and climate that no longer values our bodies and what they do, how they treat us, what they make available to us. If you don't care, then you're subject to whatever happens to you. You must continue to learn. I would be careful in trusting this instrument, this physical structure, which basically is a gift from the Most High. If you treasure that, you'll take care of it, because the house contains the mind, and the mind is the spirit, and we are close in hand to that. So whatever you can do in terms of just a little bit incrementally, begin to educate yourself as to what is around you and what you are putting into this structure. It's very, very important. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bill. We appreciate you, and thank you to all the participants. We love your questions and your comments and the way you make this platform so intriguing and interactive. You have been listening to the Medical Mondays with Dr. O, and today we've been discussing the truth about water, a friend or a foe, with Dr. William Gregg, registered dietitian and doctor of pharmacy. We continue with our mission to educate and empower you to be healthy by living a prevention-centric lifestyle. From choosing nutrition, food, exercising, sleeping, and taking care of your body and mind, to giving you access to quality healthcare practitioners, we continue to contribute for you living a better life. I can't wait for next week's topic, but remember to join the YouTube channel. It is Medical Mondays with Dr. O, and remember to share the link and click on the like button so that whenever we are on live, you can get it. So we'll meet again next week for another interesting discussion. This is Medical Mondays. Good evening.